to the Escape with Nick and Adam. Nick's here. Adam's on his way. But we are doing a special Thursday night show. We are doing more reviews of Rings of Power and House of the Dragon. But let's go around to our guest first. We have Jerry. Jerry's on the bottom today. Welcome back, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Jerry has the best laugh in the business. and you have to ask which business? All the businesses.
All the businesses.
All the businesses. Like, yes. Best laugh? Yes. So,
well, thank you very much.
Jerry's got he was your profession educator, I guess, but you're more in the administrative role now. So,
yep. No, I retired from that. Now I'm doing.
Oh yes. Thank God for you. We talked a little bit more. Thank God you got out while you could.
Yeah. So it was a very rewarding career, but I got to stay in my shorts all day today and drink iced tea. So this is better.
And not have to deal with a bunch of screaming kids. You knew, like, oh, this is way better. So
I never get away from that.
Yes, no, Danny's got a whole classroom unto himself. But let's get to our Danny. First time on the show. We talk about escapism. We believe escapism is important on our show, but our escapism usually falls in the the comic books, action figures, toys, movies. Danny delves into another form of escapism, and he's into the professional wrestling circuit, mainly the indie circuit. But Danny's our resident, I'll call professional wrestler expert. So, Danny, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Dan. I used to be on Michigan Independent Weekly and Wrestling Rage. So I've been doing this for about 3 years now as a influencer. I don't know if I've ever influenced anyone, but that's what they call it. It sounds like a pretty good title.
We just go with YouTuber or streamer, whatever.
So, but you know what? The cool thing about what I've been able to do is my heroes, I get to go see them every week or every 2 weeks or once a month, however many shows I get to go to in real life. There's guys who are the villains. There's guys who are the heroes. It's basically a live comic book.
Right. And the beauty of it is, once you get into the professional, the big ranks, the big leagues of WWE and WCW back in the day, like those stories are more forged, right? But when on the independent circuit, all those guys have to come up with their own stuff, right? It's all cultivated by by themselves, and you can really see who are the really creatives when it comes to that, and who are just like, I just want to be athletic and do stuff, But there's, I know a lot of the guys that because you guys repost a lot of the stuff and some of the promos that they do, I'm just like, you are good. You are really good at what you are. You are creating a deep, rich character that's clearly, it might be a little bit based on yourself, but it's not really you. You're basically, like you said, you're kind of turning yourself into your own superhero.
Mm. Yeah, and they have 5 minutes, 10 minutes to tell a whole story from start to finish. And like you said, some people can do it, some can't. It's great when they can. You know what? It's great when they can't too, because they're doing things that most people could never imagine doing.
First of all, most of those guys go with their shirts off. That's tough enough, doing athletic things with their shirt off in general. But also, like, I'll use. I know a little bit of the wrestling lingo, but like, how hard is it to get a guy over? For over, which means the crowd likes shit, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, you've got 5 minutes to impress probably a bunch of people who have never seen you before, but you have to, not only perform well, the character that you're cultivated, really hope people even like it. It's like, because that's part of the heel versus baby face thing, where they're, the baby face is the hero, the heel's the bad guy, and there are heels on purpose. Guys who are better at heels. You always hear that heels are more fun, right?
Absolutely.
But when you're sitting there in an independent arena, and so let's be honest, some of those independent shows, not a ton of people always show up to those. but you still have to play to the audience. You still have to win over that crowd, no matter how big or small.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they have?
And they do a great job.
Where do they have live events? Anywhere in the
All
Detroit?
over.
Wyandotte area is
Wyandotte?
really big.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Taylor is getting to be big. Allen Park.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's not around Michigan, we're talking about Michigan right now. This is the Michigan. Michigan.
Flint has a really great group. It's but it's everywhere now. There are literally this weekend 11 events in 8 different towns.
No kidding.
Across the strip. Yeah. That's how we got started was we were missing all these shows and we were like, hey, you know what? If we're missing them, so are other people. And we put it together and that's how we all got started.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really good because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, professional wrestling, there's always going to be the WWE, WWF fans, but in the modern days, a lot of people have been turned off to it. And so they still want, that entertainment. And one of the not easy, but one of the places that they are going is to the independent market, independent circuit.
How do you get the word out there, Dan? If someone wanted to go in the Detroit metro area.
Oh, lost Dan for a second. There you go.
Right.
Hold on. Is he coming back?
We lost you for a second, buddy. There you go. Now you're back.
You with us, Dan?
Yeah. All right. I can hear you now. Yeah. Okay. What was the question?
How would one find out about showtimes and stuff for in the Detroit metro area?
R2YouTube.com. It's my boys doing their thing. They will tell you the when. They will tell you the where. They will tell you the how. And who's going to be there. But if you go to R2YouTube.com or if you go on Facebook to Michigan Independent Weekly by Wrestling Rage.
How do you spell R2 YouTube? The letter R, the number 2?
Yep.
And then the word tube. Oh, you. What about you? Is Y-O-U?
Yeah.
R2YouTube.com. I'm just trying to get. Hey, there you are. Excellent. Wrestling Rage. Very cool. All right. Thank you for that. Hopefully that gets some business going for you.
Yeah, we'll definitely throw up the. Yeah, see.
Do they have like?
Go on.
I'm sorry, Nick. Do they have like training schools and stuff like that? It's the chance of injury.
Absolutely.
Is
there's 2 right now going in this state. There is the House of Truth, ran by Truth Martini from ROH, and then there is Pure Pro Wrestling in Flint.
Let me throw up the Wrestling Rage Facebook page.
Oh,
so yeah, go check out our friends over there. So Danny used to be on the doing the YouTubes over there with them, but but we're still friends of the show. So go check out. Is that Corey and Josh?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Oh, very cool.
Cody and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Go check those guys out. Show them some love. Give them a like and subscribe, especially on the YouTube channel. It helps. If you like us, give us a like and subscribe. So, all right, fellas, let's get into it. We are reviewing some shows today.
Yes, we are.
All right, we are talking Rngs of Power on Amazon versus HBO's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. So, where do we want to start? Let's start with let's start with the David in this Goliath scenario, and let's go with Rngs of Power. So, guys, first impressions. I don't know how many episodes you've seen. Are we up to date? Because did they release a new one today, or was it yesterday?
I think that's the thing. I get them mixed up. Yes, I gotta remember.
I got so busy. I'm like, did they release a new episode? So I've only seen the first 3. So that's as far as my my knowledge goes of the show. So
I think there might have been a fourth.
I think they just dropped it, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet. It's too soon.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
but anyway, I hate to do this because I think Danny and I were talking about before. It's almost like beating up like a little kid at times. You know, it's like stop hitting yourself. Like HBO's like stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. But let's talk about what we like so far about Rings of Power. What do we like?
Well, I'll start. I mean,
I like the fact that they're telling us. Oh, go ahead.
No, I thought the production value was really well done.
It looks good. It does.
It looks like the movie. I mean, they did a good job with that. So I enjoyed that. I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead. I cut you off.
Oh, you know, what I liked was we get to see kind of where the origin of the hobbits. You know, they're the Hardfoots. It's like going back to the beginning.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things where I like the idea. Who doesn't love hobbits? But they're supposed to be that. I guess the hobbits are supposed to be in this world the descendants of the Harfoots. But it's one of those things, especially as the story goes on, the cute little Harfoots are not so cute and cuddly. They're actually pretty damn vicious. When it comes right down to it, I'm just like, oh, that's terrible. You're not the cute little fuzzy fellers I thought you were.
I did like one. I agree with you, Dan. It's fun to see the origins, like you know what they survive by hiding, by playing it safe. But and that just foreshadows how hard it was for Bilbo to leave, and you know Sam and Frodo to leave. So that was kind of cool. Like that's their way of life: is don't make a fuss, hide, be happy with what you got, and stay under the radar instead of being in the center spotlight. So I kind of picked up on that. I thought, well, that was kind of cool. That made me appreciate the movies more because that really brought a richness to the character. There were a couple times. Well, I couldn't help but think of the Obi-Wan series. The Obi-Wan series. I know we're not talking about that tonight, but they stretched some things so much.
I remember we talked about like, there's a lot of corridor walking.
Yeah, and that's the same robot you just killed in that last corridor. Okay, whatever. We'll let it go.
Same corridor, just from a different angle. Yeah.
There was a little bit of that when Galadriel started swimming back. Oh, do you know she's swimming in an ocean?
Yeah, don't worry. We'll get to that nonsense.
All right. But I thought, oh, here we go. She's going to be swimming for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, hold on. Spoilers, guys. Spoilers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, hold on. Wait 1 second.
Yeah,
I've got a video for
Spoiler.
All right, that's it. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, this is a pro show, man. Look at you.
That's what we're going with, Jerry. That's what we're saying.
Absolutely. So that was the thing for me. As soon as she jumped in the sea, I'm like, oh man, here we go again. But they kept it going. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
And going.
Yeah. Well, they're dragging out that old guy, the giant guy. They're dragging that storyline out a little bit too. So I was like, oh, okay. But then I'm looking at it like the production of a movie. So I'm kind of in my mind have the timeline. Okay, we got to wrap this up in 2 hours. No, it's leisurely. They can take their time. They can. So.
Sure. Yeah, well, and let's be honest. I mean, that is one of the things about Lord of the Rings. It's like it's a very long story. And I remember my son tried to sit down and read it. He's just like, I've been reading for so many pages, and you thought there was a lot of walking in the movie. Let me tell you how much walking there is in the book. And I don't even know if he got in. I don't know if he finished, but it's just I can't even finish it. And I know that's blasphemous to some people. You can't finish a Tolkien book. I was like, I didn't even try. So
yeah.
I am not what they call a reader. I am a very visual person. I like reading sometimes, but it comes and goes. But if you're like, hey, here's this stack of books that's this high and you got to read, I'm like, is there a movie for that? I'll watch the movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I saw an article or something. If you've read the book, there's this character named Tom Bombadil in there, And I never liked him. He was like Mother Nature, and it was just a weird character.
Right.
And they cut him. Peter Jackson made the very smart idea, because it doesn't move the story along at all. They just bump into him and they spend some time with him, and he shows them how he can grow mushrooms with his hand. I forget what he did, but it was just like a male Mother Nature. And so I saw some article online that said maybe this giant guy is really Tom Bombadil. Why would he appear?
That's what I thought, was because you see him for just a minute in, is it The Hobbit that you see him for just a minute where they run into him and he's the bear?
Oh, okay.
So that's who I thought it was. Because of the way he whispered to the
fireflies or something.
The fireflies, but then the firefly died. So I was like, yeah,
thanks, Mother Nature. Jeez,
not very nice, are we?
So, but there was a reason why Peter Jackson made the editorial decision to keep Bombadil out, because it didn't move the story along and it was not a good character. But there's a reason why he's in Rings of Power, because they're looking for new characters, to develop. So,
well, and there's characters, the Harfoots were kind of mentioned, and we can get into a little bit. A lot of people are concerned about, some of the character choices. Some people, complain that, it's essentially it's a white cast, because the Tolkien world this has been made basically to be a mythology for, England, basically, which at the time, let's be honest, predominantly white. And by predominantly, I mean white. But then, so some people were upset with some of the casting choices because it's 2022. There's going to be there's been this, this idea like, let's make it look like the world today, and we're like, why? It's not very good today. But anyway, let's make it, the diverse and inclusive. Okay, fine. Some people were upset with, a couple of the black actors for the Harfoots, and then people have come out and said, well, he actually said some of the Harfoots were darker skinned. Okay, no problem, no big deal. But some of the marketing, I don't understand the marketing for the shows where let's attack the fans. Let's do that. Why not? We have this.
Right.
We want you guys to watch it, except for if you don't want to watch, or if you actually care about, the source material. Yeah, the Harfoots, not a big deal, but so we're okay. So we're sticking with the good. So the Harfoots were okay, but when they introduced them, they were much more of like, and I heard someone saying, I kind of have to agree. It was like very much community theater, very like jumping all over the place all the time, and it's like, I thought it was like, is this like, the lollipop guild?
That's what I said. I was like,
it's just someone just gave the lollipop guild, some some coke and just said, go crazy, guys. It's fine. But I agree also. It looks good, and it should for $60 million an episode. Which is 3 times as much as the show that we're going to talk about next. But
no, is it though? Is it timing? Where it's being compared to, let's just be honest, a much better written, a much better produced show, or is it just it's bad?
Well, let's get into it. Overall, Jerry, what do you think of the show? If let's do this, let's do out of 10, what would you give the Rings of Power?
Before I answer that, I was going to go back to an earlier comment when you were talking about the diversity of the cast, and it's very woke, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But
it's 2022. It is. It's at this point, it can't really surprise anybody.
There was, I don't remember who it was. Somebody was talking about Bryan Cranston, the guy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
He was cast as a paraplegic in some movie with Kevin Hart, and people were complaining about that because he was taking roles away from paraplegic actors. I mean,
Yep.
where does the craziness end? Is my point. So
And there was a few years ago, Scarlett Johansson was up for a role where she was going to be a trans person. I forget the whole story now, but it was a story where I think it was a nightclub or an adult club owner where she was going to play the lead in it, where the person was trans, and then there was a whole uproar that she's not trans. Why should she get the role? I'm like, and look, that movie never got made.
mhm.
So there's this crazy thing that comes along with getting things done, especially in Hollywood. If you don't have a star or someone to put on the back of movies, it's not going to get made. You can't just throw like, oh, we've got a trans person, and be like, fantastic, we don't care. It's like, they're finding a trans, actor in Hollywood today isn't difficult, but you have to find a trans, or any actor that you can set an entire franchise. That's why there's only a handful of actors or actresses that you can name. Like today, Chris Pratt, very popular because he can carry a franchise. Scarlett Johansson, very popular. That's the reason she was attached to the movie. And once, everybody got an uproar, like I said, it didn't get made. So, okay. Are you guys happy now? Because the story's still not going to get told.
That's it. I mean, you look at the movie Walking Tall. The remake was The Rock.
Yep.
Or what was the 9/11 movie about the firefighter with Nicolas Cage?
Nick Cage was in there, yeah.
Yeah, and the actual person was actually African American. Nobody made a big deal out of it either way with those movies, and like you said, they got made. They were good movies. They did what they were supposed to do. They told a story. I think now we're so worried about being PC that we really ruin what could be good stories.
Well, and the biggest example now is the Little Mermaid movie. They released a trailer for it, and it's got what's her name? It's not Halle Berry, is it? Halle, forgive me, but the trailer got so many dislikes. It was in the millions.
Really?
And
yeah,
but it's one of those things. And everyone's like, "Well, you're just racist." Be like, no, like, just if you would stick to the source material, it's not a big deal. And like I said, probably not a big deal because even when people watch the trailer, like, yeah, she gives off Ariel vibes. That's cool. Is it Halle Bailey? I think her name is. So, but yeah, and it just turns into oh, you don't like it because you're such and such. Be like, no, we just really like you to stick to the source material as much as you can. But at the same time, who is Halle Bailey? I don't know her. It's like, it's a Disney movie. It's not for my demographic. It's made for younger people. Now is she going to bring people, to the streaming service to watch it? Who knows? Very well might. But Disney also has a historically terrible track record of just remaking their own properties into real life movies. It's like, why are we still doing this? It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, they're always trying to reinvent the wheel.
Have you guys seen any old Disney cartoons lately? Animated movies? We take care of my mother-in-law. She's 94 and has Alzheimer's, so she likes to watch Disney movies. And so we watched Lady and the Tramp last night. Before it comes on, I knew this, but I'd forgotten this. There's a message, and it's on there for a long time, long enough for anybody to read. And it basically says, Disney was wrong. Disney did bad things with animation, and it was wrong, and it wasn't right, and we don't believe this. And now enjoy the show. So they didn't change anything on it.
I think I told Nick this a while back, where we're at coffee, is I woke up in the middle of the night, and I always have the TV on. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and an episode of All in the Family was on. It was just coming on, and beforehand they had to put a whole disclaimer about how this was a different time in the United States, and that this was only a character, and I mean they really covered their butts on this whole thing. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's what Archie was about. Archie and George Jefferson were about. Let's make fun of people who are really like this.
Mhm.
You know, there's no, you don't need to explain it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the epitome of a ground level, real life. Like, hey, we don't really understand each other, but we're gonna kind of. But at
Yeah.
the same time, you're a man, I'm a man, I'm the head of my household, you're the head of your household, and we're
Yes.
still gonna just figure it out because that's what everyday people do.
Mhm.
Right.
Now, if they remade it today, God only knows what would happen. But
Oh, they couldn't. They couldn't remake either one of those shows today.
You know what else I hear that about is The Office. You could never make The Office again because it was so politically incorrect. But it's that's what made it funny, and it's satire. It's satire.
Yes.
It's okay. But you have to be able to accept if they're going to make fun of everybody else, and I'm going to laugh. When they make fun of me, I got to laugh too because we're all
That's
in this human condition together, you know? I don't know. The comedian was talking about Bryan Cranston. I remember at the end, I forget who it was. I apologize. He said, you know, if they had hired a paraplegic to play the paraplegic in that movie, it wouldn't have been acting. It would have been him being a paraplegic. So if they wanted to, it's like, well,
Then
that's
it would have been exploitation of a paraplegic.
yeah. I don't know.
well, and let's be honest, it's look, like I said, it's 2022. I have zero issue what color, what religion, what race, whatever character you want to play. I don't have an issue, but I do have an issue is if you're going to specifically bring make a color of character or make someone a color of character and then doing racist things to them still, like, isn't that just evil? Because like our geez, I apologize, let me bring up the house or Lord of the Rings cast real quick. So they have the elf who's the most pretty dominant uh elf character, so he's played by Ismael Cruz Cordova. He's Arendir, and he gets racist things said to him once he goes into one of the pubs. I was like,
Yes.
what's the point of? I mean, how just terrible is it to be like, hey, we made a character, elf character color. Like, all right, fine. Is he good? Well, we'll see, but we're gonna call him racist things. Like, we're gonna be racist to the character of color. It's like,
Yes. Well,
that's
the
just
first thing
evil.
they do is they shackle him and turn him
Oh,
into a
yeah.
slave.
Well,
I was
and
like, wait a minute. 5 minutes after I meet
yeah,
this character, you've already got him shackled and enslaved?
yes, yep. Because I don't know what could that possibly be an allegory for. I don't know. That's weird.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, let's and they start calling them derogative terms. They call them knife ears, and I'm like, do you see what you're doing? Like, you're not fixing anything. You're not helping anything by going, by doing this. It's just
No. And the guy was, I mean, honestly, let's be honest about this guy. He is probably the most kick butt guy in the whole show so far. I mean,
oh yeah, he's by
the
far the
guy
most
was a
interesting.
machine. Yeah.
He's by far the most interesting. Well, and let's also, since we're going with that whole allegories, I don't know if I've seen a lighter tone of orcs ever. They just happen to be the ones who enslaved them. I mean, what could that possibly mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And
I don't
these
know anything
orcs,
about history in America.
it's crazy, right? Yeah, because these orcs somehow they can't even get sunburned. They can't get out in the sun. But Lord of the Rings, they're marching for days in the hot sun.
Well, and I guess that is one of the things that actually was in the book is that they're supposed to be very sensitive to the sun, where they could even get burned. Which, like I said, but in Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson said, "Yeah, we're going to throw that part out for lighting, and we can't have the whole movie be dark."
But but the whole book itself is there's a whole underlying tone that I don't know if we want to get into of what that whole thing, the Lord of the Rings, is. That's good and evil, light and dark. That dark can't exist in the light. And we, if you know where that comes from.
Right. Oh, he's a Catholic. Everybody knows he was a hardcore Catholic.
Yeah, and so the book was written with all the Christian undertones. The whole thing's probably going to get canceled now as soon as people see this and hear us talk about it. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point Tokyo is a very devout Catholic. But there are, I mean, if you want to get into some of the, like you say, some of the underlying things. So I think it's the second episode where they have our Galadriel. Some people have been calling it Guy Ladriel because she seems very masculine, but we'll stick with the Galadriel. So she gets put on the ship and basically going to the elvish version, essentially, of heaven. And what does she do? She essentially rejects God, rejects heaven, and jumps off the boat in the middle of the ocean, because that's what a smart person does.
Yeah.
Because you
No
just jump
Mahalo
off,
for her.
you just jump in the middle of the ocean. She didn't know there was a raft 10 feet away, apparently, with these other people, but because that's what our strong female character is. She's apparently a moron who just jumps in the middle of the water with I mean, really, it's literally the open sea. Where are you swimming? You can't. Now, I don't care how great of a swimmer you are, you're not going to swim the land.
No.
Well, just
no.
before that, they showed a picture of the map too, and you could see just how vast the ocean is.
It's a sea.
Yes.
Yeah,
What do they do? They make the female lead another dumb movie female.
Yeah, it's another part of like, and we can actually, let's go back to the very opening scene. I don't know if I've seen a more unlikable main character ever. And I've said I listened to the Jocko podcast. I was listening to it earlier. I love the Jocko podcast, and his biggest thing, especially in military terms, is leadership, and then how leadership transfers into real life. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, you're a terrible leader. Like, you're literally, like, you were almost leaving your guy freezing because he fell, and he's like, well, we're all like, hey, let's stop and help our guy, and she's like, no, we're gonna keep going. And and then they're fighting the troll, where she just lets her guys get killed for a little bit, and then she jumps in and kills him with no effort, zero effort, and
yes, a whole army.
Yeah, the one guy actually flings him with their sword, and I'm like, what the hell is this? But there's so many better ways that they could have introduced the character. She's had this, and I assume it's the same group of elves fighting together for 200 years. And I was like, you know what made it way more compelling is if they took it down as a team, and she could still lead, still get all the glory, get the kill shot, whatever. But everybody's inept except for her, and she's apparently capable of finding secret passages just by walking up and punching a wall of ice. That's cool. But I always thought like elves. I always thought like when the elves showed up, they were like kind of the special forces. You knew, elves were always like, oh shit, the elves are here. Like, this is serious. Like, because everybody knew like they were great. They were just superior in most ways. And the show is just there's only one good elf, and that's Galadriel. And even like on the from the Lord of the Rings movie, the elves' armors were just beautiful and immaculate, and it was like them wearing a piece of art. And then the show, it's like I'm looking at it, because when they have the scene where they're taking the armor off, I was like, is that plastic? Like, did you get that from Halloween City? Like, I was just like, there's so many things I was just like, ugh, like. And
it could have been very good. It really could have.
They could have. Well, that's the thing. I was like, there's nothing wrong with saying, like, you can still be the most badass of all your men. That's cool. We can do that. But it really sucks. The old saying, like, don't punch down, or basically don't pull others down, put other people down to raise yourself up. Like, that's Jerry, that's elementary lessons, right? Like, you don't put other people down to lift yourself up. That's not how life. You don't get ahead in life. No one likes you. No one likes a bully.
Right.
And go on.
Good, Dan.
I was so disappointed, because I really was looking forward to this, because I loved the Lord of the Rings movies. I loved the Hobbit movies. I was really looking forward to this. So maybe, like I said, part of it is they're running up against a far superior writer. Part of it is maybe I build it up too much. I don't know. It's just not what I thought it was going to be.
How dare you, as a fan of the show, get excited about it, Danny?
Yeah, there you go. You know what? Listen, after watching the last few Disney shows, I should have known better. I mean, who can I blame but me? You know,
Now that is one thing I tried to stay away from any previews, any trailers, and I didn't want to know anything. And I was pretty good with this one and with the House of Dragons. All I knew from that is a lot of people had long white hair, but I wanted to stay away from it because I didn't want my expectations to be high. Actually, Dan, I probably went in with my expectations low because of things like Obi-Wan and things like that. I have yet to open She-Hulk. Haven't done that.
Me too. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I don't know. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. I mean, but I know that's not
Adam will defend that show to the hilt. I was like, you have fun on that hill, but I've only been able to get through 2 episodes of that show, and I'm just like,
I just don't.
It's, and I don't want to spoil you for it, but it's like it's the same '90s feminist shit that I've been just forced over us since the '90s, and I'm just like, are we still fighting this battle? Is this really a battle that we're still fighting? I was like, okay. Anyway, but
so as far as the show goes and the wokeness of it and everything, I'm just, my parting thoughts are, I think that in general that the world is a better, more accepting place than when I was a kid. And so that's a good thing. I was actually watching at lunch today. I had my phone out, so I was eating my little sandwich and I was watching some YouTube, and I came across Johnny Carson in the late 70s. And when I was in high school then, for gosh sakes, you guys weren't even born. And Red Skelton, this old comedian named Red Skelton.
Yes.
So Johnny's talking to this guy, and this Red Skelton, he's being funny, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, I used to be in vaudeville shows. Oh yeah, we traveled around, and the Uncle Tom Cabin show, I played every part." I don't know, of course, I'm all in blackface and stuff. He just kind of said it just like nothing. And then one time I got fired because I got ad-lib because it started raining on the stage. It was an outdoor theater, raining on the stage, and I looked at the audience, and I had oh my gosh, I'm turning white, and the whole audience laughed, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell are you saying on national TV? And if I had seen that when I was in the 70s, I would have laughed and went, oh, okay. It wasn't a thing. So now I'm glad that overall I think the world is a more accepting place. So, hey, Nick, what I want to go back to, I'm sorry, you're the host, but I want to hear everybody's number. What do you rate this thing
at? Did you give your rating?
I don't think anybody did.
All right, I'll go first. As of right now, I got about I'll give it a 3.5. 3.5 elf ears.
All right, out of 10 or out of
10.
Okay,
10.
So out of 4, it's pretty high, you know.
Hey, that's 2 whole elves.
Good point. 3.5. Dan, what do you give it?
You know what? I'm going to give it a 4.5. You know, but I'm also going to add in because it's beautiful scenery. You know, it's nice to watch the scenery.
No, and it is really nice. And it's, you know, Weta, who's the original design team, and really, I never thought ILM, which is Industrial Light and Magic, they're the ones that Lucas started with Star Wars. They were the industry standard for so long, and Weta came along when they did the Lord of the Rings. Really, I never thought ILM would be topped. Weta topped them, and they did a fantastic job. And you can really see the Weta stamp on, you know, essentially everything that they've done, especially scenery wise, and it looks great, and it really does.
It's a great point.
But I like the dwarves. I like the dwarves in the second episode.
Yeah, that was cool.
But overall, like our main protagonist is incredibly unlikable. Grace Randolph, who is a very prominent YouTuber and reviewer, so kind of nailed it when she called Galadriel a Karen and a Mary Sue somehow, tied into one.
Interesting.
And I'm like 100% because she has 0 flaws, and she's always awesome.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what, even when she decides to jump into an ocean for no reason. You know, well, not no reason, but for, you know, there's no land in sight. I'm just going to jump in the ocean. Lord knows what's going to happen. She is the most unlikable or most ungrateful character I've ever seen getting rescued. In the third episode, when they're in, was it Numenor, and I forget the character's name, and she's just being a total bitch to him. I'm like,
Yeah.
he just saved your life, and you're still being rude.
And she gets worse when he takes her to his his people, and instead of being grateful for the fact that, hey, thank you for welcoming me in, she craps all over their whole existence and insults their royalty and just basically gets told off. I mean, finally somebody just tells her off.
Yeah.
And we have the benefit of hindsight. We know what happens. We know that Sauron really is out there, and she's the only one that was right. That is the only saving grace. Because if I didn't know that was happening, I think, what a bitch! Oh my god!
But here's the thing too: they try and build her up as a great character, but guess what? She's been tracking him for 200 years, still hasn't found him. Sorry, you're not that great.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the character from the main character from Prey. Jerry, did you see Prey?
I did.
On who? They're like, oh, she's so great. I was like, the only reason she's the only hunter left at the end because she literally got all the other hunters killed with her being a stubborn jackass.
Exactly.
I was like, that's not a good character. You crafted a character who's stupid, but yeah, she's technically right, but she gets a lot of people killed in the process. And she's so great. I was like, she's not that great. She's been trying to track one guy down for 200 years and has failed. And everybody's trying to give her the hint, be like, hey, you might want to just take a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
I can't take a break. You killed my brother. Okay, well, it's been 200 years still. So
go to therapy and get over it.
Yeah, chill out. Like, you don't have to get over it, but we're done paying for your nonsense.
Yeah.
And then they try and make, these silly things that make them seem important. You know the difference between a rock and a boat? Be like, yeah, a rock sinks because it's a freaking rock, and a boat is on the water. It has nothing to do with which way they're looking. It's like the writing is stupid.
Well, I came in higher at the end of the first episode because I'm just a fan, and I wanted to see where it went. It was nice to be in Middle Earth again.
It is, and that's why I was like, I liked episode 2 better than episode 1.
Yeah,
but they really lost me again. Where, like I said, your main character, the heroine of the show, is so damn unlikable. I'm not gonna root for this character in right now in any way. Like now, learn some humility and all that thing, and it'll be fine. Learn some life lessons, but right now the life lessons is I'm always awesome and a badass. Suck it. It's like, no, thank you. I don't like you.
Yeah, I probably started off. I would say maybe even a 6, just because I like the way it looked. I like the production value. I was willing to give it a chance. Okay, they have to build the characters. I get that, and then it just kept dropping from there. So I'm probably down to a 5 now. But here's the thing: I'm still going to watch every episode. I want to see where it goes. I love being in that world. So
because Tolkien created such a fun world, it's fun to be in that world. It's like when we were reviewing Kenobi. I love being in the Star Wars world.
Yes.
I just don't like the crappy story you made.
Right. And I think I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think it would be, and I don't even know how many episodes in this season. Do you guys have any idea?
8.
If it was 2 2-hour movies, the pacing would be better. They get to the point. They didn't have enough story to stretch it for 8. As of right now, anyway.
Well, Jerry, there is no story. The story that they're basing off is the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is essentially a history guide.
History book. Mm-hmm.
There's no story there, and they've literally just taken. Yeah, we're gonna throw it's a mishmash.
And I tell you, I tried to read the Silmarillion. Oh my god, it doesn't read like a history book. The history of the First Age. And Tolkien figured all this shit out, which is crazy.
Jerry,
before
he broke down the phases of the moon. in his world. That's how
Yeah.
hard and how deep he went into his world.
He invented Elvish. He invented a language.
He wrote a language, and that's the other thing. That's okay. That's part of the reason. I was like, if I can't read the name of the character I'm supposed to care about, it's hard for me to care about, the character that I can't even pronounce the name or the words. And that's why, honestly, it's one of the reasons I don't read that much, especially sci-fi or fantasy, because everybody tries to make up these real elaborate names. I was like, I can't pronounce that 16-syllable name, and I'm not going to keep reading it every time. I feel like I'm in a Fifth Element. Give me shorter. Give me a short version of your, my name's Nick. One syllable. It's fine.
Dick the Elf.
Whatever you want to call me.
I was just reading here because the big thing is, and you might want to put up the spoiler blip again.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, do it. We need it. This gives production.
Spoiler.
There we go. You're good.
Okay. I was looking up who the character that fell out of the sky, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to figure it out. It's played by Peter Mullen. He is Durin the Third. Durin the Third was an elf king. Or was not an elf king, a dwarf king. So how is that him?
No, there's so many. Like I said, it's such a patchwork. We're just literally throwing crap together. We're gonna make up a bunch of characters, and
everybody. Like I said at the beginning, we thought, was he, was he maybe the wizard, that's in the forest? Was he Gandalf?
I thought he was Gandalf at first.
Yeah, but no, if you look it up, his name is Doran the Third, which is the Doran the Third from the movies. Is
Adam's here.
Hey,
my friend Adam.
Sorry for my tardiness, everybody. I apologize.
That's all right. That's all
Adam,
right.
we are talking about we're still just in Rings of Power. So.
You're still just what?
We're still just talking about Rings of Power. So.
Okay. Well, that's okay.
He was a dwarfing king, so how is he so much taller than a hobbit?
Danny, once again, there's not a whole lot that makes a whole lot of. You can stretch things and say, "Hey, we can make him sense," but it doesn't make good sense. It doesn't make for a good story.
We're gonna go into alternate universes now for this, right?
That's what we need. A multiverse for Lord of the Rings.
Hey,
it's working so well for Marvel, guys. Like, lay off, all right? Yeah, let's just do the Marvel thing, the Disney thing that seems to be working so well for everybody, right?
Which is the comic book thing. I mean, let's face it, the comic books did the multiverse, and it's worked out pretty well for them. It's when you turn around and say, hey, we're going to do the multiverse here in the movies, and everything's just cuz.
Yeah.
Just cuz.
I was doing that.
Shut up and don't ask questions.
Right.
Yeah. Shut up and consume. Don't think too much about it.
Adam, I have to say I'm a little jealous. I'm looking behind you. You got Batman and Joker with the surfboards.
Those are the Mattel action figures. Yes, the McFarlane ones didn't come with surfboards, but the 2013 or 2013 it was run that Mattel did on the action figures came with the surfboards, and I jumped on the Mattel ones, man. I when they came out, and
Pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. And we got the Force Commander now from the Horde here.
Hey,
another arch enemy of He-Man and She-Ra. So
very good.
So, all right. Any last words for Rings of Power?
Well, I'm gonna sit and watch all the episodes, and I don't like the writing, and I'm not sure which way it's gonna go. So I guess there's that. I hope.
Jerry, my only concern is, when you're coming out with a brand new show, and especially when you're going to premiere like the first 2 episodes, usually that's like some of your best material, right?
Yeah.
That's the stuff you're like, we're going to put a big old fat worm on this hook, and we're going to reel you in, and you can catch nothing.
Well, you
Yeah,
want to
you caught some people, but
you want to get that word of mouth going, and people tune in next week, and people are saying,
well, and this is the word of mouth that's been created. Hey, Amazon has shut down reviews because they don't like it, and they are deleting comments and reviews from IMDb, which and other places because Amazon owns IMDb. So,
Yeah.
and
Really?
yeah, I just learned that myself because I have used. Okay, IMDb has been a very big part of my life because when me and my wife get in arguments, that's usually what we get in arguments about is like movie stuff, and that's what solves our arguments. So I've relied on that very heavily most of my life. So that's I've always taken what IMDb says very seriously. So
You and everyone else too. Yeah, everybody takes
I
IMDb pretty. I mean,
well
pretty accurate. Well, at
when
least we thought they were. I don't know.
when Rotten Tomatoes came out, everybody's like Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, I don't give a crap about Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, IMDb's always been where I go to if we're me and my wife are sitting down to watch a movie and we see, hey, it's right around like a 6 or 7. I was like, okay, it's watchable. And I sit down and we'll watch a movie. I was like, yeah, it's about a 6 or 7. It's always been as far as my
yes,
rating system, I've always gone, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, it's about right. And if I see like an 8, 7 or 8, I was like, oh, it must be really good. Or if you go, oh, it's a 4, it's like, oh, that's a hunk of crap. Like we're gonna pass.
Yeah, I usually line up with that too. I had my own rating system at one point. I'd be willing to pay full price, matinee price, dollar theater, rental, or Walmart bin.
Well, yeah, that's good though.
I think back in even high school, I said, look, I'm only going to the theater to watch the big budget movies. I very rarely do we go, oh, we're gonna go spend $50 to go watch a comedy. Be like, no, thank you. I will wait 2 weeks when it comes out, and whatever.
I want to see the next like big blockbuster on an IMAX. I've never gone to an IMAX for like a Star Wars or something.
You're in for a treat.
Yeah, I always wanted to. But Henry Ford is
yeah.
the only one I know that has one. I don't know.
Yeah, the only IMAX I've been to is Henry Ford for a school thing, but yeah,
Well,
they
yeah,
have
they
IMAX.
Birch Run.
They got one in Sterling Heights too. I'm
I
pretty
said
sure.
that I knew the nearest one was down in Sterling Heights off the one.
Sterling
the
Heights.
AMC.
The AMC has one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
AMC
the
Mound.
AMC right
I
off
know.
the-
I
yeah,
go there all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Not to brag,
that's
but
kind of
I'm a Stub Club member.
kind of a
Oh,
kind of a
Yeah.
big
I
deal.
let that slip. I let that slip.
So all right, let's move on. Yeah, trust me, they upcharge you on that one too. But anyway, moving on to HBO's House of the Dragon, the prequel to the Game of Thrones sequel. Guys, what do we think?
I think that Doctor Who is in that show, and it makes it even cooler.
Side note, Matt Smith is coming to Comic-Con in October. So anybody watching, anybody who lives or is near the Metro Detroit area, if you want to get something autographed or your picture taken with Matt Smith and most of that Doctor Who crew, Karen Gilliam, River Song, and I forget the Rory.
Yes.
They're all doing big Doctor Who panels. So, but I think Matt Smith is doing. I thought he was. That's the thing. Doctor Who. Doctor Who is such a goofy character. It's hard to determine if that person's a good actor or not. But Matt Smith's fantastic as Damon Targaryen.
Oh, he's killing it in this show.
Absolutely fantastic. Even was it the second episode? Hold on, let me do this real quick.
Spoiler.
All right, so when he walks out of the cave with half a torso of the crab feeder, he literally said like nothing in that entire episode, but you knew exactly what he was feeling. And the reason he went and got the crab hunter because after 3 years of battle on this little island on the shelf, called the Shelves, his brother basically said, "All right, fine, I'll help you." And he says, "Screw you." And he goes and does it himself. But
yes, I mean just straight rage. I was like,
yes,
"Dang!"
yeah. First of all, he starts beating the messenger with his helmet, and then it's like, nah, screw you, man. Screw you, brother. I'm gonna do it myself. But like, okay, so for me, I am not a game. Once again, not a reader of the books, not a Game of Thrones fan. I was there were just too many issues for me to watch the Game of Thrones the first time, and we can get into it later. I've said what I've said a few times. But I am thoroughly enjoying House of the Dragon.
If I had to pick between the two of them, yeah, House of Dragons got it going on. Better. It rarely has lagged. It has some momentum. It has some of the magic of the original series. It's still not, like the original series. That was just filled with me from the time Ned Stark got his head chopped off. I didn't know what by like episode 3, I didn't want to start liking anybody because I knew they were going to die if I started liking them. So it has a little bit of that magic. Like I didn't see. Well, it's just spoiler alert. But what happened between the niece and the uncle there? Anybody know?
Yeah.
Oh, we all.
Got it. All right. And of course,
anybody got a banjo to play?
Well,
Right?
as a school administrator,
Yeah, it's like Adam's like, I got it. Okay.
I didn't see it. Obviously, I haven't watched the show.
But Jerry, I completely agree. But even the slow parts are still important, and they're important.
yes.
It is such a night and day difference in storytelling, where so many modern stories feel like they have to tell you what is going on. Where in good storytelling, we'll show you. Hopefully, you'll catch on to it, but we're not going to sit there and say, "Hey, grab you, slap you around, say, you see this? You see this? Look." There's none of that, and it's just like even just the ways that they show the passing of time in the show, because it really progresses very quickly. And just I think was it 3 episodes, we've already progressed years, and there's never been one of those stupid titles that say, "Oh, it's 6 months." The the SpongeBob 6 months later. There's none of that, but you just know, oh, hey, this guy had this. Oh, now it's worse. Where he had he got the infection in the finger, and hey, 2 years later or 6 months later, he's missing 2 fingers. Crazy. It's like, oh, there's just very subtle, very well done ways that they are telling the story, and it's just such good storytelling. I mean, I hate to feel like I'm blubbering, but it's just such good storytelling.
Well, the actors themselves really do a good job of owning their characters. Was it Patty Considine? Is that how you pronounce his last name? The King?
I just call him I just call him one of the Andes from Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, there you go.
Because he's one of the Andes.
Yes, actually, he was in was it the Buzz too, or the Biz? It's like, what's the name of that?
But he was in World's End too, I think.
Yes, but you see the worry on his face as the years go by. He plays that part so well. Like he's the king. He's got the world. He's carrying the world on his shoulders, and it shows. Well,
it really, and that's one of the things I really like about the show. It really shows, that, heavy is the head that wears the crown. It really, like you really see, like you said, you see the weight of what it takes to rule over a thing, and everybody thinks, oh, it just must be so nice to be this. He's like, no, and one of the things I was touching on earlier, where everybody wants to sit on the Iron Throne, right? That's the throne everybody wants to sit on. And one of the things I really love, and this is what I pull from it. Maybe someone else pulls something different, where everybody wants to sit on this throne, but he's lost 2 fingers. There's on the last episode, they show him having sex with his wife, and you see all these sores on his back, and it's like there is a price to sitting on that throne. Like there's a actual physical toll it takes for you to sit on that throne, to be in power. There's there's a mental toll, there's a physical toll, there's the emotional toll, where he's having the conversation with his Rhaenyra, where she's like, well, everybody's got it, such and such, I think he's talking about Otto, where he's like, Otto has an angle he's trying to play. He's like, everybody I talk to has an angle that they're trying to play. Every single person that I talk to, basically, I can't trust anybody. I can't take people at their word because everybody wants a piece of me because I'm the king.
Yes. Well, I mean, look at when he can't win. When he didn't have any other children, right after his queen dies, they're like, you have to choose somebody. You have to. And the only person that you can choose is your daughter because she's the only one of age. So he does that, even though he doesn't really want to. And then a few years later, like, well, now you got sons and you made the wrong decision. Well, you guys are the ones that made me make it.
Well, and I really like the part that Rhaenyra has earlier with her mother. I don't remember the character's name, but I just know she's the queen. And basically tells her, what your lot in life is going to be. She's like, your job is to produce Targaryens. Mm-hmm. That's it. Right. And then you start to see the rebellion. She's like, I don't want to just, start pumping out heirs to the younger queen. She's like, oh yeah, sorry. She's because at this point she's already had 2 children with the king. And she's like, oh, sorry. She's like, whatever, her job is basically, the new queen's job is basically to get knocked up. Mm-hmm. That's the role of essentially women in royalty. And and obviously Rhaenyra's trying to reject it, but
I knew he was gonna marry that girl. She was listening to him and patient and everything, but I'm thinking,
oh yeah, they set that up.
Her in.
How about right after your 8th grade graduation, we'll go.
Yes,
well, that was worse. Is when he's like, oh, I'll send. I forget the family. They're like, we'll send our daughter. They're like the 12-year-old.
Oh, that was funny though. That was funny.
And you can just see he's just looking. He's just like, even in Game of Thrones, they're like, that's wrong.
You don't have to bed him till I'm 14.
Right? Yeah, you wait 2 years. It's like,
and his fingers are falling off. It's crap. Oh God.
Well, then the last episode where the young queen's sleeping and the maiden comes and gets. She's like, it's late. She's like, yeah, and because why the king calls you at 3 a.m. Little booty call action.
She was all about it when she was in 8th grade. And a couple years after, she's like, well, it is rather late.
Like, guess what? That's what time it is. It's what the king wants you. That's what time it is.
The king wants his scepter
now
polished.
She's like, oh, he's old.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not getting any better, honey. Sorry.
No, the magic's over. Hey, friends, I really enjoy this, Nick. Adam, thanks for inviting me. This is wonderful. Dan, it's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit.
Thank you.
Even over the airways. I gotta go. We got grandma duty.
No problem.
Coming up here. But
all right, Jerry, anytime, my friend.
Hey, it's great to see you, Jerry.
Yeah, hey.
Awesome to see you, Jerry.
You know what? We should do this like in person, like have dinner or something. Are you guys old enough to drink yet?
I don't think so.
I can DD or watch people drink. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm only 42, so I can only have 2 drinks. So
yeah. Okay.
Hey, I might not look it, but I'm 49.
Woo!
I mean, I look at, but I'm older than that even.
He's like, you're still kids.
Or maybe we'll just sit around and have some iced teas and talk. So
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I never end up with bracelets when I drink iced tea.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, that's your watermark for having a good time today.
That's like.
No,
we all have our brace. Yeah, whether it's from a hospital or
you
from
have a good
someone
time
with a badge.
in jail.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I've had some very understanding public servants.
Right.
All right, friends. Until next time, guys.
All right. Good night, sir.
Bye now.
All right. So, carrying on. So, it's one of the things I love seeing, and it's total classic fantasy. They do such an excellent job with the dragons. They really do the way that they tell the story that the dragons are essentially bonded with the Targaryen family, and
well, they make me want to hear more of that story.
Yeah,
because he's like, "Let me tell you about the dragons," and he whispers it in their ear, and we don't get to know.
Hey, J-Bone.
And I was like, that's not cool. I want to know. I want to know.
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
we
Adam.
should try one at Sergeant Red's. Hey, all right, look what you did, Nick.
Hey,
Look
why
what you
not?
did. Yeah. All right.
I'm always down for talking nerdy stuff. It's always fun. So
Yeah.
that's why we do it. So let's see here. So episode 1 is basically figuring out the lineage. So the old king dies. He has to pick a new heir. He picks I forget. Terrible at the character names.
Oh, I
So
wouldn't
he
know.
yeah. So he's got Paddy Considine, King Viserys. But okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna share this real quick. Here's the big problem between Rings of Power versus House of the Dragon. Now, let me see if you can spot the difference. I'm going to show you the cast list from Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And let's see, we're scrolling. Do you recognize any of these people?
None.
Not a one.
Oh,
Maybe
this is
one.
Rings of Power.
This is Rings
Yeah.
of Power. Now, let's do that with the cast of House of the Dragon. Let's see here. Oh, I know that guy. I know that guy. I know that
Oh,
guy.
well, Matt Smith. Yeah, everybody knows Matt Smith.
Let's see here. I know.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that guy I've seen. Yeah, that guy I've seen. That guy I've seen.
Yep.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Jefferson
It's-
Hall.
Yeah, it's night and day where you just go like, oh, hey, it's so easy to get a show that you like, or when you know the cast.
Well, I wonder if they don't plan on killing off a majority of those characters from the other show, and that you get these bigger names in this show because they're probably gonna die real soon, so the contract's not that big. I mean, it could make sense,
Possibly,
yeah,
but at the same time,
but it doesn't excuse bad. It does not excuse bad writing.
No, but at the same time, I still don't care about them because I don't know them. Like these characters, like Matt Smith, I was like, oh, hey, I'll check that out because I've seen him in this.
Right.
Paddy Considine, hey, that's one of the Andys. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any of that attachment with Rings of Power.
No, there are movies that when they purposely did it, like when Sony did it with Spider-Man and what was it, The Incredible Hulk, where they purposely went to kind of unknowns. But it wasn't a whole cast that way. They put them in with a cast that you knew,
They gave them at least good, supporting actors that could carry the movie with recognizable faces and make it believable. When you see like for example, when you see what's his name, J.K. Simmons stepping in to play Jim Gordon after the Gary Oldman stuff's done and everything like that, you're like, well, okay, this lends it some credibility.
Well, that's exactly it. It brings, I'm happy you said, it brings credibility to the project.
Right.
When you've got literally casts of people I've never seen, and most of the people, like, this is kind of mainly their only credit on IMDb. It's like,
so then you got, and again with the Lord of the Rings one, I haven't seen either show, but I can only comment on thinking about how the money works. Doesn't look like they're sparing money anywhere. So long term, getting solid, well-known actors might have been harder for them because they got bad scripts.
well, that's the thing, Adam. They had bigger names attached to it, and you know what they did? They left because they read the script and they said, "No, thank you. I'm not going to be." Especially when you really dip into the British talent pool, which is very deep, and you're like, "Hey," but also, "Hey, this is a Tolkien thing." That British guy that's very popular in Britain, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to do this at Tolkien?" No, thank you.
Well, yeah, and it's not a code that's cracked either. I mean, Peter Jackson, Peter Jackson was brilliant enough to know that all he had to do was make it come to life.
Well, and
Right.
he made a conscious effort to say, we're not going to put our own thing on it. We're not bringing our own personal baggage to the
Right.
thing. We're gonna just like I said, let it breathe. Like I said, we're gonna bring it to life. Now, yeah, are we gonna have to lose a couple things here and there, like we were talking earlier? Jerry brought up one that Danny was the character that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, man, I just lost his name too.
But-
It's the one that lives in the forest.
Yeah,
that takes care of all the forest animals.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where, like, yeah, you didn't make the cut. We really got to shrink this down and make it, because especially the Tolkien world's so vast that like you can't include everybody. Like that's why in not documentary, but historical movies are like, hey, this in Catch Me If You Can, where they have Tom Hanks as the FBI agent who looks like he's the only one who catches Leo DiCaprio. They're like, no, that's literally like he's the encapsulation of like 40 people, like 40 to 100 people who did all this work, but we're just gonna have him be Tom Hanks. So,
all right, that you bring that up. I'm sorry. This is sort of like a side Adam thought thing, but I thought, if I was going to interview anybody, who do I have a burning question for? And it's Tom Hanks, because I got to know why. Why do you have to be what is it? What's going on with your career is awesome. I've got no problems with you playing Sully or Mr. Rogers. Just wondering what's up with the big, what happened to being Tom Hanks in Big, man? Now you're always somebody with some big name.
What happened to Bosom Buddy, man? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, you're a funny guy. Yeah.
Turner and Hooch. Where's Hooch?
I just watched him on. I watched an old episode of Family Ties where he was the uncle on there.
No shit.
And
that's
I was like,
awesome.
That's Tom Hanks right there. He was funny. He was a smart aleck. That's Tom Hanks. Why so serious, dude?
Right. Why so
that's
serious,
Why
Tom
so
Hanks?
Serious? But you know what? Beverly Hills Cop, 4 coming out?
Yes.
Well, it's Axel. Yeah, Axel Foley is supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I could see a follow up to Turner and Hooch, or I could see a follow up to Big. That would be cool.
They made the TV show Turner and Hooch. I haven't watched it yet, but it's either out or it's coming out. And I was like, wait a minute. Why would you put Tom Hanks in there? I mean, he's doing some stuff, but he's not really that busy anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, if Tim Allen will come back and do the Santa Claus TV series, what the heck? Throw some money at Tom Hanks, bring him back.
It'd be funny if he walked up to that. He's an older man. He walks up to that same genie or Egyptian, whatever it is, the fortune teller thing. He's like, wish I could be small. And the next morning, he wakes up and he's small. And the movie's called Small. They should do that, though. I mean, that'd be fine.
But I don't know. I'm sick of the remakes at this point. I was like, just give me original stuff. That's part of the problem. Honestly, no,
is there original stuff anymore?
No,
but it's all been done.
But there's better stuff than remaking your own movies just in a different form. Disney.
Oh, just wait 2 years. We'll have lockdown, COVID.
Yeah, that'll be the most original thing that they've got.
Can't wait for that movie.
But
you know it's coming too.
I know it's. That's the thing. So I'm
Who the fuck's gonna be in that? One guy
stuck in his house.
It's gonna no. You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be Jesus. What's his name? Who's the scientist that Fauci? They're gonna make Fauci the hero and. Everybody
that's coming too. That's coming.
Yeah, the Fauci Disney series where Tom Hanks plays Dr. Fauci. Go check it out. I was gonna say something. I was going somewhere, and now it threw me off with my own nonsense.
This is why you don't let a guy who hasn't seen anything we're talking about into the show. Sorry.
Where are we? We don't even know where we're at anymore. So anyway, House of the Dragon. Let's give it a quick rating. Danny, what would you give House of the Dragon so far? And as Danny found out very quickly, not family friendly.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Yeah. 8.5. Because I honestly can't wait till Sunday to see the next episode. I cannot say that about Rings of Power. I can't honestly. I can't say that about most things. Be honest. That's why I
Anything
have a
that I
hard.
watched on Disney.
That's not a whole lot on Disney is blowing up my skirt. Speaking of which, Adam, how's your how's She-Hulk going?
It's great.
Your skirt's great. What color is your skirt?
Blue, navy blue.
It's not a skirt, it's a kilt.
That's right. Yeah.
Same color as Monica Lewinsky's. Fantastic.
That's right. All right, before I start making stain jokes, I am wearing navy blue basketball shorts. And what are we talking about? What did you ask me?
How's She-Hulk going for you?
I haven't seen the latest episode of latest two, but it's not supposed to be fucking Lord of the Rings. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be what it is. I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's charming. Very charming show. I love when she breaks the fourth wall. I will say this about She-Hulk. She didn't break the fourth wall, and she didn't have the quote-unquote attitude kind of thing that she has. It wouldn't be the show that it is. I really like it. If that was a show that took itself too seriously, it'd be like, well, this sucks.
I tried watching a second episode. I ended up hanging up a piece of furniture on the wall.
Sorry to hear that, Nick.
Even though it had Larry in it, it had Larry. I was like, oh,
who's Larry?
From damn it, Balky and Larry.
Oh
yeah, that was Larry.
Yeah.
Man, you know what?
Yeah,
he was
her dad.
Yeah,
he was her dad.
Yeah, he's the dad.
You're not the first Hulk in the family.
I have never read a comic. I have never saw the show, so I have no clue. None.
It's just a dopey comic book character with a dopey show, really.
Yeah, Mark Lynn Baker.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the best way that I can describe it. Because even the She-Hulk character, from the research I've done, because I've never read a She-Hulk comic either, doesn't really take itself that seriously. You know?
No, I just don't care for.
It's a funny book.
Well, yeah, and that's the reason I never really. Jason, gotta agree with me on that one. I didn't make it past the first episode. Thumbs down. Jay gives it a thumbs down. Yeah, it's to me and we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's got the whole feminist tone that I've been switching the channel to since the 90s. I don't need it. I don't care for it. It's ridiculous. And
I forgot you don't like women.
I'm only married to one. So.
I'm just messing with you, dude.
Oh, it's my tolerance level is one.
Everybody's no, shut up! Don't get me in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. So,
you say that to a married guy.
But even my wife's sitting there is like, seriously? I'm like, seriously.
Hey, everybody's got their own tastes.
Yeah. No, people want to like it. Good. I wish there were more things I liked. I really do. I would be Adam, you know how awesome it'd be if we just had a show where like everything's awesome and amazing and it follows the storylines and its story follows the Lego.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Right.
I wake up.
I wish that
were
the theme song. Why do you know that song so much?
Because I listen to it on a daily basis.
On purpose?
Yeah, I'm chronically fucking sad. What do you think I listen to?
Metal? I don't know.
I hate heavy metal.
What?
I haven't liked heavy metal since I was 22. I'll listen to it, but I'm not a metalhead.
No, not anymore.
No, I would probably listen to like Billy Ocean
But you haven't listened to Mumford and Sons.
I love Mumford and Sons.
They sound like Billy Ocean?
No, they don't sound like Billy Ocean. Why does it have to sound like Lego? Doesn't sound like Billy Ocean either.
No, it doesn't either. But that's also Garfunkel and Oates that sings that song.
I never thought in a million years we'd be talking about the
Well,
Lego
songs.
theme.
Drop kick Murphy. Bugger off is a saying around our house quite a bit.
Bugger off. I like that.
All right. Anyway, did we give our reviews? Yeah. So we gave Danny's given an 8 dragons. I'm giving it an 8.5 dragons. I like I said, thoroughly enjoying the show. It's got a few things from Game of Thrones that it doesn't have, and I like that. It doesn't have, even though, yeah, it's got plenty of the gratuitous sex scenes. That's HBO for you. But it's for me, it's much more palpable. It's very political show. So if you don't like, the behind the scenes, it's kind of like got almost like House of Cards, where you actually see how the sausage is made, if you will, from a very political family. I just think it's such a well done, well written. The storytelling just maybe it's just one of those things where we've gotten so much bad television and movies. It's when you actually see like good storytelling, you're like, give me more,
Right.
But yeah, I am thoroughly enjoying it. Not to the point where I'm gonna go read the book, but Adam, there is a movie, and Danny, you might as well like it as well. So, Sean wants to know what's wrong with Billy Ocean. There's nothing wrong with Billy Ocean.
Mm-mm.
It's just
That's right.
when Adam's playlist right now apparently is Billy Ocean and the Lego theme,
And Mazzy Star.
and Mazzy Star. And I was just trying to, but at the same time,
Sixpence None the Richer.
But he hasn't heard Mumford and Sons, which it's like the early stuff is like folky, like yay music. It's fine.
I like Country Joe and the Fish.
What the hell are you saying?
Come on, all you big strong men. Uncle Sam needs your help again. Got himself in a terrible jam way down yonder in Vietnam. Put down your books and pick up a gun. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. Country Joe and the Fish.
Okay. Maybe I'm missing out. I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not.
No, man.
Probably not.
I'm very self-aware. I know I have bad taste.
Oh, but it's
Except for
such
Batman.
Who doesn't like Batman? But it's such the dichotomy between, and it's so funny that Jeff Bezos says, "Hey, I want a Game of Thrones," and now his Lord of the Rings, his baby, is going against Game of Thrones, and it's just getting the tar beat out of it on basically every level.
Okay, but like now that you mention it, I hadn't really thought about it like that. That's something I can comment on. Like, I saw all the Lord of the Rings movies. I liked them. As far as I know, they didn't, detour away from the books too much. I don't know if I'm wrong or I'm right, but I didn't hear a lot of bad stuff about the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I did like it a lot. But it doesn't sound like there was a lot. It doesn't sound like murder and like the rape and the incest and all the crazy dragon like violence and shit that goes on in Game of Thrones happens in Lord of the Rings. So I kind of think he got that mixed up.
No, well, yeah, probably, but I think he just wanted the cultural phenomenon part of
right. I think that's what he was looking at.
Like,
he saw
that really popular thing that everybody likes. Get me one of those, and they said, "Hey, everybody likes the Lord of the Rings. Let's do that.
Right.
Let's spend X amount of hundred millions of dollars."
Well, you have the PG show on Amazon,
right?
And you have the R-rated on HBO.
Yeah, it's HBO R. Let's be.
Yeah,
that is R. That's pirate mode.
Yeah.
That's several several R's with exclamation.
R.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I'm just gonna say this, and those who know. Saturday nights about 11 o'clock on another channel that isn't HBO.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
what's that?
Okay. What?
what's Saturday nights 11 o'clock? It's not HBO.
No, it's not on anymore. It used to be when we were kids.
Used to be Skinamax or whatever.
Oh,
Or
gotcha
whatever,
now.
whatever your taste was.
Remember Dream On, Danny? Do you remember that show, Dream On, by chance? Either one of you guys?
Oh, I don't.
HBO. It was a
Familiar.
comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this guy. There was always naked ladies in it in every episode, because the main character was always hooking up with different women. But anytime somebody would say something, he would have a memory of when he learned a lesson as a child, and that lesson came from a TV show. So you'd always flip back to some 1960s TV show, somebody talking, because his mother would sit him down in front of the television, and the television raised him, and it was Dream On, and it was on at that time, and then Tales from the Crypt would come on after.
That is one of my favorite shows in history.
I love Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah. Damn it, Adam, you took me off somewhere. I was going somewhere. Oh yeah.
Sorry,
So well, okay, so I made a big mistake because I remember my son, he's very much like me, where he's kind of a bit of a history nerd. I was like, oh, I got a show for you. It's called Rome. You'll really like it. And you know when you're an adult and you kind of just forget about all the nasty things, like all the sex scenes, and you forget about it because you're an adult, and it just kind of
it blurs away.
Yeah, it blurs away after a while. And I remember 5 minutes in, two people going at it, and I'm just like, he just goes, all right. Because no one wants to sit there and watch that with their parent. And he's just every time. And it happened more than I'd like to say it did, because I'm like, oh, that's a really good show. Oh, I forgot it's an HBO show. So there's just gratuity of everything. I remember I was like, hey, there's this movie, Tropic Thunder. It's really funny. I forget that the opening thing is a commercial for, was it Pussy Juice or whatever? And it's the music video. And even my wife's like, what are we watching? I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And then it got to the point where the director gets blown apart, and he picks up the head, and he's like, the stuff's dripping out. And my son's just like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? I was like, it's a comedy, I swear. This is funny.
That's why I'm me and you're you.
He's like, yes. Yeah, it's one of those things where how the funny thing is core moment. I was like, yeah, that was a core. That was a scar. That was a scar right there. We just did.
The closest thing I could think of that I ever encountered something like that was a coworker I had at not the job I'm at now, but I was raving about Blazing Saddles and how funny it was. And my point to it was they really stick it to racism. They do. They're making fun of it in a satire way in that movie. But to show it to someone who was born in 1995.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's they look at it. They're like, that was what the fuck did you tell me to watch?
I feel like N-word count is in the 20s now.
Yes.
Then you have to explain yourself so that everybody doesn't think you're
right. Exactly. It's like, but wait a minute, no, it's how we, and you say something stupid like, it's how we were. Yeah, you were racist.
Like, shit.
The funny thing though about that movie that I did read up, if you do any kind of reading on it, it's Richard Pryor, and it was a collaboration. Richard Pryor wrote most of that movie,
right?
And what's his name? Mel Brooks said, "You got to play Bart, the black sheriff, if we're gonna do this." He goes, "Oh no, I'm not black enough." This is the story that goes with it. He goes, "No, I know exactly who we got to get to play this," and that's how Cleveland Little got the role, because Cleveland Little had worked with both of them before,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, that's great.
What a movie. All those Mel Brooks movies and those 70s movies, man. It's just even the Bad News Bears.
I miss Mel Brooks. I absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, they're not all. I mean, they can't all be home runs. But
Right.
Overall, that entire the satire genre. Like I was always a Liam Neeson. I loved Liam Neeson movies growing up. You know, the Naked Gun movies, and then when he was in
Oh, the Leslie Nielsen.
yeah, sorry, Leslie Nielsen. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, Leslie Nielsen.
Yes, the Naked Gun movie.
The Naked Gun movies. The Naked Gun movies with OJ, by the way.
O.J. Simpson. Oh my God.
Wait,
I had someone
before
finally
19 was it 94? He was very popular, guys.
Yes, I had someone finally catch on because a little political here. I always refer to a certain person as President Scroob. And I finally had someone catch on to what I was calling, what I was saying, and they're like, "Spaceballs!" I get this private message in my messenger, just a huge letters, "Spaceballs!" Ha ha ha!
Thanks for catching up to the joke. Yes, that was the joke. Yes,
That's great. So, fellas, I'm gonna have to bow out though. I gotta get up.
Yes,
very
me
early
too.
tomorrow.
It's about time to get little Jason ready.
yeah. I think
Great
it's
to
time.
meet you, Danny.
We'll wrap it
Nice
up.
to meet you too.
Yeah, we'll have to have Danny on the show some other time. But
Absolutely.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
yeah, thank you so much. And we'll, like I said, we'll wrap it up here. And I want to thank Jerry, Danny, Adam for showing up. And let us know what you guys think of House of Dragons and Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And I'm not sure if it's going to be a weekly thing, but we're going to try and do it periodically to catch up and see where those stories are at. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Later on, guys.
Good night, Planet Houston.
Good night, America.